Yes, yeah.
Okay. Are you ready? Okay, thank you. Yeah. Well, welcome to the November meeting of the Georgina Maddox Working Group, and welcome to Margaret. Yes, so, item 1, apologies received. I think we just
apologies from Councillor Marie, who is away, and apologies from Councillor Gray, who's got a medical appointment, but hopefully he will join us later.
Okay. Item 2, declaration of interest. Receive any declaration of disposable pecuniary interest from members in respect of business to be transacted on the agenda.
Well, I don't have a disclosable pecuniary interest, but as my principal residence is next door to the Maddox property, I potentially have another significant interest in respect of the security of the building, i.e. if it was vandalised, if there were squatters, if it was used for fly tipping and so forth, that could affect the value of my property. And therefore, in respect of those matters, sorry,
your
and
insurance.
my insurance, yeah. And in respect of those matters, I would declare another significant interest. I'm not sure that that impacts any of the agenda items today.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, could I just point of order? Peter, does that mean that if, and I'm not sure we're actually voting on anything today, but if we were, would you normally vote?
If we were voting on something to do with, let's say, the charity or whatever, I'd be very happy to vote. If we were voting, or the council was voting on a major decision affecting the property, I would abstain.
Okay, the point being, Jeff, is that obviously we are quorate in terms of, we've got 3 councillors here, but if Peter isn't voting, then actually we would only have 2 voting councillors, which I would then suspect would put the quorate aspect slightly into doubt.
I don't think there's anything on this part of the agenda
That's fine today. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. If Nicholas
Just
just
wanted
wanted
to raise
so anything that might come and affect Peter, we could delay until Councillor Gray comes.
Okay.
Okay. Item 3, public participation. Do we have anyone? There we go. There we go.
After all that,
Yeah.
he walks through the door.
My apologies.
Don't worry, we haven't started.
Do we need
Oh, good.
No,
Yeah.
members of the public wants to speak.
Yes, please.
Item 4, approved recommendation from Sandwich Town Council meeting on 30th of October 2023, attachment 1. Members to review the Maddox Fund update report. We went to the STC meeting on 30th of October 2023 and approved recommendations from that meeting. Members to discuss any progress relating to these.
So the first thing, as I see it, is the investment paperwork is currently being processed pending approval of the discretionary management account. I assume that that's completed now, is it?
They received a confirmation that the investor profile had been approved, and I've yesterday received a letter from them which is clarifying a few points, but it's not interrupting the progress of the account being approved. It's just some finer points that of the account that they need to clarify. But I haven't had any confirmation that the account is actually set up yet.
Okay. And there's no decisions to be made on the information that they've sent through, the clarifications?
There may be, I haven't read it yet. It will have to go on to an agenda. Unfortunately, I only received it yesterday.
Okay.
Yeah. So we've got the, I think this down here. That one to the 5 I think we do need to have a meeting with the planning officer at the site.
I agree. Do we want to just go through each of these bullets just to make sure if there are any updates that we get those recorded? So number 2, and that was with yourself, Nick, and this was inquiring about the progress regards the release of the estate.
Mm-hmm.
Anything further from the HMRC? No, still.
We've had nothing further.
And you haven't had a meeting with the executors?
No,
No.
no. We were going to have one, but then they wrote to us setting up the position, and really there didn't seem any. Nothing would have come out of that meeting.
No. Just worked at their own pace.
Yeah, it would obviously be interesting to understand, what is the dispute, what is the contention as to how much tax or what years or.
I can only add that Georgina was very hot on her tax.
No, it's nothing to do with that.
Oh,
I think it's the value of the shares and the investments.
Oh,
And
right.
dividing them equally
Oh,
among
right.
the beneficiaries.
Oh,
Because
sorry,
stock prices are up and down. They might have to just say a date. That's the date, whatever those shares are,
and that's it.
and that is it. But it's so volatile at the moment, isn't it? And if they make the wrong decision, someone's going to contest it. Then they say, "Oh, shares have dropped, and that was worth more." So that's important.
I think it's deeper than that. It's the technical aspect of HMRC applying its tax liabilities on any estate. You're right, Jeff, to a point, but I think it's also they have to look back in terms of their investments and the value of them and what tax is due. So for me, what I'm missing is the detail of what's, the last time they contacted was X, the answer was Y. That means we can expect the next step to be whatever it might be.
We were told there's no tax liable.
Exactly, because she's left it to charity.
Yeah.
It's my understanding that inheritance tax liabilities
So there's no tax.
aren't applicable.
There's no inheritance tax
No.
liability.
No.
But the extent of her lifetime tax liability.
It's purely income tax.
So
Oh,
it
It
is
right.
is
income
what,
tax.
yeah.
on her
And
investment.
Georgina was very, very hot on her income tax every year. She paid it early.
Yeah.
She contacted HMRC
Yeah.
because she used to fill it all in by hand. So she contacted them every year and was guided through it. And one year she was paid short, and goodness me, she
Yeah.
paid £900 the next day because it was low. So I know that
Yeah.
she's been very hot on paying tax on everything. So I don't
So that's
think.
brilliant, that's brilliant. So could I ask whether you could engage with them after the Christmas
Well,
break?
Well, we
I think
could
we
maybe
should.
have
I
a
think we
meeting
should
with
try to. I mean,
Yes,
try to.
what
Yeah, have a meeting with them.
Yeah.
Because to me it's just smoke, it's smoke screen.
They're earning money.
So
Yeah.
frustrating throughout the whole thing
Yeah.
is the lack of information, which
We've had this one since the
the
start.
solicitors
Yeah.
have given us.
Yeah.
They just seem
Yeah.
to say, well, we're dealing with it,
And
go
yeah,
away.
yeah.
And the thing is, they may have a real significant list of priorities, and we are somewhere down the pecking order. So we just probably need to be a bit more.
Yeah.
Need to be more pushy.
No, I think we need to be,
They-
we need to
they
really
back
go
off.
back
Yeah.
at them.
Yeah.
and really
You know
say,
which
look,
work.
we really need to know,
Yeah.
what is happening,
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
we're likely to hear.
Yeah.
and
I
so
mean, you're
on.
over 2 years now
Yes.
since
Yeah.
she passed away. It's
So when did you last write? Or we wrote to them
Recently.
last week, or we wrote to them
Yeah.
6 months ago. I've got no visibility about the progress or lack of it.
I think it's quite recently we went to, didn't we?
No, sorry, not
Can you
criticising
not
us.
lean forward? Sorry,
Yeah,
I can't
yeah,
see
yeah,
how
I'm trying
close.
to avoid the sun.
Yeah,
It's the, sorry,
Yeah.
this isn't about us, it's about the executors,
Yeah.
how active or inactive they are.
Yeah.
Right. And I think we need to be seen to be pushing.
Yeah.
Pushing.
And I think we need to, so we need to get back to them.
Yeah.
And I would like to go back to them and call and say that we really would like a meeting
Yeah.
with you.
Agree.
Yeah. It was quite a while to meet the actual solicitors before, didn't it? Yeah.
Well, they were very difficult to
We were
get
slow
hold
to
of,
all went through
so,
probate,
yeah,
that-
I mean, I
that's
dealt with all
okay.
the funeral
Yeah.
side of
Yeah.
everything, and it was all
Yeah.
very, very slow.
Mm.
Yeah, so
I mean, we wanted the ashes buried, and that took virtually a year
yeah.
for them
Mhm.
to,
Yeah.
it just is.
So we will continue with the solicitors.
Yes.
New year, new enthusiasm.
So, is that number 3?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the minutes were, I was okay with those, everything else.
Yeah, well, I think the agenda said that we were going to have an update on these things.
Yep.
So recommended that members to discuss any progress made relating directly to these. So the next item is for discussion is the number 5, the town clock.
Yes, I was going to say that. So
Yeah.
I said, yeah. I think because I did meet a planning officer to do with the wall by the Empire, and he's quite keen to come and meet with us and discuss what we'd like to do. So I think it's important that we do just informally have a meeting with the planning officer and perhaps the conservation officer as well.
Yes.
And so we can meet them both, and we can pick their brains. I'll just ask their advice and see what something we could. Because I think they want to do it through a planning portal, don't they? So
They do normally, yes.
yeah, so we can then sort of do a draft, yeah.
So we've made contact, haven't we, through the planning portal itself, or did we write? Did we go to them separately?
They wanted more information, didn't they?
We did.
It was Jill, so I think it was
I contacted each
an email
Yeah.
contact to the planning department.
So I think there might be a charge if they come to visit us more. I think it's about £125, isn't it? So we agree that we do that.
Well, that was my understanding, that for pre-application advice, the normal charge was £200 for a resident, but for a council it was half of that, so it should be £100. But when Jill spoke to Dover District Council, they quoted £1,500 because the council previously approved that we could contact Dover Planning and approved £200 expenditure in anticipation that they would charge the full residential fee. So it's all got a little bit pear-shaped, in the translation. And
I think we'll have to formalise it though, won't we? And actually send, request to meet a planning officer.
yeah,
I think we'll have to do it anyway.
yeah. But if we do that, then they will want payment up front of £100.
Well, that's okay.
That's fine.
Yeah. And we gave financial authority to 200, and we said it's within. We've got that already.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think you're right, Jeff. I think this is all stuff for January, because I think we do need to look at next year being the year we drive this forward.
That's right.
Let's get a pre-meeting that we can talk about it. Peter will be coming on to the information that we've got from organisations, which should influence discussion.
So we have to arrange that, or Jill arrange the meeting with the planning officer.
Jill can
Jill
contact
can,
me.
Okay. So item 6, Councillor Gray investigating the CIO and suggestion solicitor. I think that
So it looks like that's ready to go to the.
Sorry,
the solicitor for the CIO, because we haven't set up the charity, but we've got a
we haven't, yes, no, we
No.
haven't. I mean, I would query whether we actually need to go to an expensive solicitor to set it up. I mean, we're considering setting up a CIO. The Charity Commission basically insists that you use one of our 2 model constitutions, unless you have a very good reason not to use it. I can see no reason why we can't set it up with our standard form of constitution. The only query with them is that the Charity Commission basically say that the trustees should be individuals and there should be more than one, but we want to set it up with the council being the sole trustee. We will need to get their agreement to this, and I think we can get it. We've got a perfect precedent in the Toby fight. As I mentioned before, I have spoken informally to a firm of accountants, Levick's in Broadstairs, who are experienced in looking after charities, and the partner there told me that she wouldn't envisage any difficulty in going to the Charity Commission and saying to them that get their approval to have one sole trustee, and I can't really see the reason to instruct any solicitors who are going to charge a huge amount of money for doing really nothing.
Do we have 3 quotes?
Hmm?
Do we need 3 quotes? Do we have 3 quotes?
Yes,
Well, we
have
don't,
three
I mean,
quotes.
correct me if I'm wrong, Karen, but I understand it under our financial regulations, 10.1, 10 something, you don't need to get 3 quotations in the appointment of solicitors and or other professional advisors. There are certain exemptions from it. Am I right?
The general rule is that if it's going to be above £3,000, we should strive to get a quote.
Okay.
But so you're saying this is only £500?
I'm saying it should be, well, Levick's said to me that if they were instructed to act for the council on going to the Charity Commission, they quoted £750 plus VAT. Where I know if you go to solicitors, you're going to be talking about £500 an hour, and you can guarantee it's going to be a number of hours involved.
So you should answer rather than me.
Yeah, I was going to say we could check with the town
Yeah, I
clerk,
mean,
won't we?
if it's below the £3,000 threshold,
Yeah.
I think we don't have to get 3
Three,
quotes, but we need to be seen to have perhaps tried another couple,
Yes.
just so that we can say that we've looked at a few and selected one.
And I agree with you. So my point was about transparency. We should take it to the town council with exactly what you've said, Nick, and we can say this demonstrates value for money and making the right decision. But that should be transparent.
That's what.
So I
That's
think
what we do. We make a recommendation
Yeah.
to the town council.
It says here that taken to the extraordinary town council meeting, but we haven't had one, so it has to be if we can get it for the November meeting, we should.
Yeah, definitely.
And if we're doing that, are we absolutely clear on the purpose of the charity? Does the town council have to agree the purpose of the charity in terms of briefing this solicitor to say that this is what the charity is about, and this is the name of the charity? I think we've established the name of the charity, we've established who the trustees are. I think we need to be clear about the purpose, because when I looked on establishing a charity, there are things like there's 13 things listed: relieving poverty, education, religion, health, saving lives, community development, the arts, amateur sports, human rights, religious or racial harmony, the protection of the environment, animal welfare, the efficiency of the armed forces, police, fire or ambulance services. Those are the categories.
But I think we can go more into depth once we appoint the solicitors and talk to the solicitors, can't
Yeah,
we?
I think so, yes. I mean, the one...
We do a briefing with them.
The document we're talking about is the charity's constitution. It's really mechanical as to how the charity operates. We have to agree in it. We have to come up with an objects clause. It says that what the object of the charity is. That's something we need to agree between ourselves and put to the council. That is really the only controversial part of the constitution. The rest is standard stuff about appointing trustees, holding meetings, doing accounts and so on. But it is important that we as a group will need to produce agree between ourselves the objects of the charity, right? Which is what we then should put to the council for approval.
So can we draft? That's, for me, that's the same as the purpose, Nick. So can we actually draft something out as a group and put that to the council?
Yes, I think
we can do that.
That's what we should do. Yes.
Right, good. Because the other thing that I was thinking about is, who will be the clerk to this new charity, and how is the clerk reimbursed? I think we're all clear that the trustees won't be able to claim expenses or, you know, or whatever. But we would need to employ a clerk or a financial officer or a management company or a management committee or whatever to look after the charity.
And I think that's a really good point.
That is a very good point.
We don't want, sorry, my personal opinion, we'll discuss, we won't necessarily want to drop this into council staff as another draw on their time when it is it's a standalone charity that we can afford to pay for the right resource.
I think that's a very
I
good
don't
point.
know, I think we should carry on as we've done with the toll bridge fund and keep the clerical staff here, and then their hours are taken from this charity. Because we are getting a PA as well, aren't we? We are getting a professional
discussed.
PA.
That's
To be
true.
discussed.
This is exactly what, in my mind, needs to go before the
Yes.
council.
Yes, it
That,
does.
you know, the Maddox fund can pay
It can
for
afford
50,000 or whatever it is to the council, or we employ somebody completely separate.
Yeah.
Well, I think we're really restructuring our staff here, aren't we? And I think one of the staff, one of the assistants to the town clerk, I think she can do the hours, 'cause it's not that many hours, is it? And then she just books the hours to the charity.
I think that's a
An
good
option.
idea.
And then and it's all within the full thing
Good
of the
idea.
town council, isn't it?
I think that's a good idea, and I think that helps justify the increased numbers of staff coming into Sandwich Town Council. All I'm saying is that I think together with the objective or purpose, some of these important principles should be put before the council, so that we can then instruct the solicitor to include provision for the transfer, because we're currently doing a review of the finances between and the relationship between all of the different organisations and budget centres that we've got here. And I think in the constitution of the charity or the governing document there should be a clear, agreement that the Maddox charity shall employ Sandwich Town Council to act as clerk and etc.
We've done that before, because we've got the town council, we've got the toll bridge fund, we've also got the Monks Wall nature, that's all done through here, and the hours, I think it's there, they've got to do the hours, isn't it, Cameron? And so this will just be another one where they book the hours to that particular charity.
Well, no, the Monks Wall Nature Reserve account is within the Sandwich Town Council account, so the hours aren't actually staff time, it's not put into the Monks Wall account.
What about when you take the meetings? It's generally when the town clerk used to take the meetings.
Yes, but it's just part of the Sandwich Town Council
Oh, is it? Okay.
staff time.
I'm just being particularly cautious that the resource that we currently have are stretched because we're told that many times, and the resourcing model doesn't include, I believe at the moment, servicing this charity. So there is an addition, and your suggestion, Jeff, is a sensible suggestion, but equally we need it to be impacted by the staff to say, actually, we can accommodate it, or we can't.
We can't do it.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm not quite sure the
they may say
PA.
we can't
You
take it
can't
on.
answer that at
No,
the moment,
no.
but there would be complications, because if we keep the property, we'll be having bills coming in.
Yeah.
The bills will need probably to come to the council,
Yeah.
and somebody here will have to process them or send them on to somebody else to
Yeah.
process them. So
Handling.
I can't see that we're not going to have any involvement at all, particularly if we keep the property.
Okay.
Yes, that's something that's have to be sorted. So, got quite a few little bits to sort out.
Well, there are these kind of big principles, I think, that we need to kind of take to the full council and get some agreement on.
Quite a thing setting a new charity up, isn't it? Quite involved.
Certainly is.
Okay.
Number 7.
Number 7.
Yes, I have approached 3 different accountants. I won't name them, but one of them I'm familiar with. 2 of them I don't know, but I have picked them because they're obviously used to producing charity accounts and they're local. I have had a reply from 2 of them, but through this process I realised that we're either going to be above the threshold for needing full audit or below it.
Yeah.
And so I have been made aware that perhaps in the first year of this charity being functioning, we will be above the threshold because the investment income will be seen as income in the first year, and then after that it will be any other income coming in that will be used to calculate the threshold. So I've got a couple of quotes. Both of the people that got back to me can do accounts at the lower level and the interim examination, or the examination of the accounts. If we're above the threshold, only one of the 2 is actually qualified to do that. So I've only got one quote for the above the threshold audit. I didn't have a quote back in time to put them on the agenda, unfortunately, but the 2 lower ones are in the same ballpark. So we're looking at sort of 1,500 to 1,800 for the lower level audit. But the first audit that takes place might be higher, it might be sort of 4,500 level for the first year.
What would you recommend? We just, because they've had a chance to come back to you, haven't they?
Well, I haven't got the quotes here, so I can't really discuss
Have
the
you got
quotes.
one you worked with before? Is one of these accountants you worked with before?
Yeah. One of them I've worked with before because they have audited the Talbot Fund for a long time, and they are the people that are fully qualified to do a full audit.
Yeah.
So let me just change the question, Karen. If we would normally expect to have 3 quotations, you've tried to do that.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for a third.
To get a transparent and properly governed decision from the council, do we need to have 3 quotes from 3 accountants that can all deliver the service?
Yeah.
So you're not there yet?
Not quite.
Defer it, won't we? Defer the decision.
If you get it in time for the November meeting, maybe we will be producing a report for November, and that can be included.
But they have said to me, they've said to me that until we know more about how the charity is going to function, they can't give us an exact quote. So they've given us ballpark figures.
Which is,
That's all we'll do.
Councillor Gray, would you like to sort of move round the corner on that chair there? Would we be able to see you a bit better because you keep sort of peeking behind.
Well, I do your-
Does that help?
Well, I was just thinking the way you sort of like it.
I think I will, yeah. Okay.
Is that better for you?
You're
Yes,
sending
it
you
is.
around the bend there.
Now we see you there. There we go. Just think to be more comfortable. So we'll have to defer that then.
Let's be realistic. I don't think, Karen, with all that you're doing at the moment, realistically, you can get together 3 quotes from 3 accountants in time for next Tuesday or Wednesday. Won't happen. So we need to be realistic. It's for the January meeting.
It'll have to wait till the next meeting.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the solicitor, the appointment of a solicitor or somebody to open the charity is the first thing
Yes,
I
anyway.
agree.
So
Yeah.
we need to get that
Focus on
written
that.
before we can
Yeah.
give the accountant more
Yeah,
information.
Agreed.
that's a very good
Agreed.
point.
And some people sort of frame it for the same, so they will quote for the same amount of work as the others will.
Yeah. So number 8.
Just going back, if I may, to the constitution of the charity, I would be quite happy if Councillor Green would agree that he and I should maybe prepare a draft statement of what we think the objects etc. of the trout should be,
Yeah.
which we can then put to the next meeting.
Yeah, I'm happy to do that, and I think there's a couple of things that I should have mentioned before, but I think we need to decide, is this charity going to act in perpetuity? So it only is able to spend the interest, or is it able to make capital
Yeah.
purchases of other facilities and own property?
That's a good point.
I think these are really important points that the council need to agree.
Yes.
That should be included within the governing document.
Yeah, we should, and we should come up with a list of questions
Yeah.
like that,
Yeah.
which we put to the whole council.
Yeah, exactly.
So you need your recommendation on these
Yeah.
areas.
Because there should be potential income from that people are using as well, shouldn't there?
Yes.
Yeah, so,
Yeah.
hopefully it will perpetuate, carry on.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Now it's down to the printers, isn't it? Right, take the vote for vote. No, we did that PowerPoint.
All right.
Yeah.
You can see I've prepared a document here. We should all have a copy of this. It is a draft report, it's work in progress, and it's not completed. But really, the purpose of the report was to inform you all of the results of the questionnaire received, and when we look later at the overall process steps that we've agreed, you will see that this report is there to complete one of the steps and move on. So 53 questionnaires were issued by the town clerk, and we received 14 responses. The responses received came from all sorts of music and music school, Gays and Salts Nature Reserve, Sandwich Chess Club, Sandwich Tree Champions, and the J Hamper organisation. We had 9 organisations decline, and they're listed in the report here. Subsequently, Councillor Franklin and myself, the chair, had a meeting with all sorts of music just to clarify their intent. And you can see it's a private limited company. It's limited by guarantee. It's an established music school, and they would like to be able to use Bay Hall for music lessons. They currently rent a facility in Ash, and they give one-to-one music lessons to children and youths. They normally have about 6 part-time teachers all working in parallel, giving music, so they need a waiting room and so forth. But this is a commercial organisation. They do support underprivileged children or children who can't afford music lessons by giving their own scholarships, and they also receive funding from Dover and Kent County Councils. And they require space for an office, storage for instruments. They need a waiting area for parents who are coming to pick up. They need 6 classrooms, and each room would require acoustic lining. Bay Hall is smaller than the property that they currently rent, and they would want to rent the whole building themselves. They would want to have control of the building for their DBS and insurance requirements. They're very happy to organise community groups and music for elderly people and young mother groups for breastfeeding and so forth. But they would want to control everybody who goes into the building, and other groups could use it, but only by their appointment and under their supervision. So that was all sorts of music. Gays and Salts, the nature reserve behind, and we know that this is a well-known to Sandwich Town Council, and indeed some of the people around the table are trustees. And typically on a Wednesday they have 16 members go to volunteer to actually do gardening activities in Gays and Salts itself. But they would want to use Bay Hall for toilet facilities, for messing facilities, i.e. tea and coffee. They would like to have an office there to have equipment. They also hold meetings committee meetings once a month where they can have up to 30 people. The J Hamper organisation is a Tibetan Buddhist study and practice group that offers meditation and mindfulness techniques as well as Buddhism for beginners. They currently have about 10 members and meet in the home of one of the members. And they would like bedrooms, living room, chairs, cushions and kitchen with utensils to prepare vegan meals and the ability to store a throne and bedding in the attic. They're looking for a quiet and beautiful space with as many disabled parking spaces as possible. They didn't set out any preferred option. Sandwich Chess Club also responded. They were the fourth organisation to respond. They have 45 members and currently meet at St Clement's Hall, where they have chess clubs for a junior chess club and an adult chess club. They then have competitions at local village halls. Sometimes I understand from the RFO that they have competitions here in the Guild Hall, but I think they use other local village halls as well. So they have something like 16 adults and 4 experienced juniors, so they need 20 tables and chairs, and they need to be able to have a locker to store their chess sets and their clocks and so forth. They would want a waiting room for parents and a large room for the actual club meetings. They would like projector or a flat screen TV so that they can do their coaching, and they want to make sure they've got a kitchen urn, which is a requirement when they're playing in league matches. So they'd like some 2 disabled car spaces and 18 car spaces in an ideal world. And they would also like to be able to establish outdoor chess sets in the garden. And then we had a single response representing 2 organisations, the Sandwich Voluntary Tree Warden and Sandwich Community Tree Nursery. And the Sandwich Voluntary Tree Warden holds talks, so they have 5 talks a year, with lasting a couple of hours with maybe 10 people, 10 to 15 adults and 4 to 8 children. And they also run tree warden talks 2 or 3 a year with a maximum of 20 adults lasting for 2 hours. And they would like a large room with tables, chairs, projectors, Wi-Fi, kitchen facilities for teas and coffees, and jam and chutney making facilities and a community hall. I'm just trying to faithfully state what these organisations have asked. And the Sandwich Community Tree Nursery would like to be able to grow saplings in raised beds, so that after 1 or 2 years they could take those saplings on to other locations. So in summary, if you look across a week, all sorts of music are running in the afternoons between 3:30 and 8:30, 5 days a week, and then on Saturdays. So they would require the facility for 36% of the time, but they would want, as I said, full control. They're currently paying a commercial rent for the facility that they're using in Ash. Gaze and Salts want to use the facility every Wednesday for about 3 hours, and monthly for 4 hours. Sorry?
Ask about groups going to Gaze and Salt, so school groups and things, would they not want to use it?
We haven't had any schools, identify, So no schools have submitted, have responded to the questionnaire. Well, sorry, one school did, but it declined.
With the meetings
Eastern
being
Church in England.
Yes.
with the
Yeah.
meetings being evening, I know they've got the Wednesday ones, but the actual meetings like the committee meetings, they'd be evening meetings, I say.
Well, they are, and they currently, as I understand it, hold them in the King's Arms.
Yeah, so that's,
So yes, I'm quite happy to to go over that.
Yeah.
The hamper organisation, their retreat and so forth for 1 week, so they would only want it 2% of the year. The Sandwich Chess Club would want it 8% of a week, and the voluntary tree wardens, they're very small, kind of 4%. So the impact, this chess club, as I say, is currently renting space from St Clement's Church, so they're paying for their sessions there. So that would impact them, and it would also potentially impact the Guildhall and other local communities. All sorts of music, are a well-established company turning over a couple of £100,000 more. So, they are kind of a dynamic company, and they're renting from a private landlord in Nash. And as far as we know, Gaze and Salts, they don't have kind of toilet facilities there at the moment, and J Hamp and the tree wardens don't rent community space. So that's the factual report. What I just thought, I've left a space in this report for us here to develop working group comments, because I think we need to make this report through to kind of the council. And what I would say is that the working group should consider the content of this report and advise any changes that are needed. And I'm quite happy to do that, including comments, so that the report can be submitted to a council meeting. The report to council should ask council to consider if the demand is sufficient for the council to invest time taking the scheme forward to the next stage, i.e. there was on the flow chart, there's an initial practicality decision. And that's one of the kind of the stage gate reviews we kind of set out on the overall process.
Yeah, thank you for all the work you've done. It's been really good. I think we go through them one by one. So we start off with all sorts of music. I think as we set up a charity, I think a lot of these other people I think one of these evenings, I don't think we can just do it to one person. It'd be nice if they did lessons there for local people, one-to-one, but, and just an hour.
I think you would find that the conversion into 6 classrooms is a very, very expensive item, particularly with the acoustic proof.
Yeah, soundproofing.
And I think also, in particular, it's a very, very niche activity. For me, if you look at the spirit of the will, it doesn't seem to me as though it's embracing that. It falls way short. It's not community. Yeah, it's not really community. And also, I think, if I read correctly, I think the premises they occupy at the moment are actually larger than the premises that they may possibly go into. So I'm not sure how committed they would be in the long run.
The lady, the principal of the company that we met, did say, there'd be possibility to extend the property. That was just enough, comment, but so I didn't include that in the report.
But I think the other slightly alarming thing in the sense that they want control over it. I think that's almost the exclusion of a lot of others, because I suspect, hopefully, once it's all up and running, what will happen is that it will get round and people will want to come in and you can have a barrier there to others using it. So for me, it falls very short.
Yeah,
I think we would be in big difficulty with the charity commission if we allow them to, in effect, take over the building, which is what they want to run it. I think it would be a no-no.
No, and it's a commercial enterprise, isn't it?
I mean, we had the difficulty, a similar difficulty with the Jubilee Centre, because that we do let part of it to non-charitable organisations. The charity commissioners say, yes, that's fine, but you must offer charitable organisation preferential terms, and it would only be a small part of the income, otherwise you will lose your charitable status. So I think from that point alone, I think it's probably a no-no for the music group.
So at a very practical level, if you've invested all your efforts to satisfy one customer, notwithstanding what you said, Nick, the risk is significant terms of them dropping out along the way.
Mm.
So that's the first point. But I just want to say, as a helicopter view, I wanted to be convinced that there was sufficient demand out there from a range of organisations that made it viable, because we're only starting at the point of a site that would need to be developed in a manner to meet that demand. I am not convinced the demand is here, so I'm just going to leave that there, but that will have to be discussed by the council in its totality. If you took out this particular customer, what's left is very, very low demand. So that's just my point. So focusing on this, I agree with all that's been said. I don't think we are the right customer to provide a community hub. For a single customer.
I think Georgina just said we can go, to try it as a community hub. And I think we have to try it as a community, and that's why I like to have the building bit. Because I think we should just do minimum modification. It's obviously going to put male and female toilets, disabled toilet, but we don't want to do loads and then you don't get, because I think we haven't, I think we've got to try it as a community hub, and hopefully people will come in once they see the facilities, especially as we've got car parking.
This is brilliant, but we didn't go to the community. We didn't go to, there was nothing on notice boards to say we were doing this survey. We haven't,
I think we did.
I didn't see anything anywhere, only one on Facebook. And I was just thinking that there are other people in the town that would like to use it. Karina was going to fill in the form, but she didn't get it in time. She'd like to do workshops there. And there are other groups that would like to do workshops. So I think there would be an interest. Local people that do little Pilates groups, workshops, children's parties. I mean, there's children's birthday parties we could. There are lots of things that we could expand on other than the groups. And I mean, a lot of the groups that we wrote to, as good as it was writing to them, they've all got their own facilities. They wouldn't respond to them want to come on board anyway. St Clement's, they've got their own hall. So
I actually am hoping that the schools, because we'll come and use gaze and salt and use it as
school. And my point was not particularly our schools. It was schools from around, coming for a day visit to Gaze and Salts, and we could have a screen there. They could learn about all the different things that go on and nature and so on. Have their lunch there, they've got the toilet facilities, so it could be a lot more, it could be advertised a lot more for Gaze and Salts than they currently do.
Can I just throw something in? I happened to have a conversation with a head teacher in this area, and it was raised, and this person found it quite difficult to fill the form out because he was trying to look at the long term. And it didn't really, he felt, sort of give him much of a sort of starting point. And whatever I think needs to go out there, it needs to go out there, what is available, as you've already said. And then I think what happens, and this head teacher said what he'd do is that he would then map the curriculum and see where he could make use of it. And with a little bit of discussion, it became very apparent that they would use it. And I just wonder whether, there is obviously we don't necessarily go out to the business, but there is a heads forum that operates in this area, and whether somebody could actually go and talk to them. I'm quite sure that there would be quite a bit of interest. There is one issue, of course, and that is that it is a little way out of town, and getting pupils from one end of the town to the other is a little bit difficult. So whether in the long term there may be a pot of money to help with a little bit of transport or something like that, but I do believe genuinely there is interest out there from the schools.
And schools from further afield, there is the coach parking in the lay-by opposite Gaze and Salts.
There's parking there. And
there's
room actually in Bay Hall for a minibus.
Absolutely. But there are schools that do go out, 50 miles for a day out.
So this was just a sort of a start, just to see whether what's in. I think there
will
be an interest.
I would say, Margaret, just coming back on that, and I think, so there's two things. We are the working group. We are responsible for this. I'm I'm just a little bit disappointed now with seeing that we haven't run the right survey. So I'm just putting that in there because I think we are accountable to drive this forward. So I'm going to leave that there. But sorry, yeah.
Well, the surveys, was prepared. We went through it.
We did.
You approved it.
It's a starting point.
It's a start. I'm a little bit shocked.
Yes, I am.
A school teacher, a head teacher can't fill the form out.
Yeah.
We did have one email came in expressing no interest, so you didn't have to complete the form, but they could have sent a letter back.
My second point, because I think we need to get ourselves in better gear if we're going to drive this forward. My second point, Gaze and Salts were given the opportunity. They have not articulated what you're saying, Margaret. So you might have your view on what they might want, but they have the opportunity to say, we want to set this up, we have got the resources to do it, this is the ideal opportunity. We cannot create solutions for organisations, and it's not Gaze and Salts, it's anyone, to say, we will foist this on you. It won't happen. I just want to do this practically. I want to do it in a way that we don't come back here in September next year and say, actually, we've inched forward. We can't do that. Sorry, I'm getting a bit,
Talking about Gaze and Salts, one of the trustees of Gaze and Salts has said to me they would prefer to use the cricket club because it's a big open ground and they've got the toilet and kitchen facilities there, and it's closer to the car parking and it's safer for everybody coming in. So for buses and coaches going into the Gaze and Salts car park, and then the children walk around without having to cross Strand Street, without having to walk on a narrow pavement. So and I can foresee that the Maddox charity could support any additional costs to Gaze and to the Sandwich Cricket Club for using the cricket ground pavilion, and it's there, it's safer. That's just saying what one of the trustees of Gaze and Salts has said.
Well, I think we've got to go on this questionnaire, haven't we?
Yeah, exactly.
So, and anyways, it's going to take months and months to get it sorted out. So hopefully, if we can spark people's interest, they can say, "Oh, well, I am interested in it." But I think we've got to go, and that's why I think we should just do something basic. We've got to talk to the planning officer about the toilets and different things, and set the charity up and the finances up, haven't we?
Yeah.
And once we get all the structure.
Well, so I think my personal view is there are two separate, there are sort of a number of streams of work, Jeff, and you're touching on some very critical things, which is we need to get the charity established, and that will happen regardless of whether we use the physical site or we use the fund for other purposes. So let's drive on with that. I don't think that site is about just touching it up, because there are some to make it a community hub, which we will learn through the planning process, there are certain demands that will be prerequisite to make it available to anybody to use it. I'm not the expert, I want to see what the cost of that is before we make a decision. What we can't say is we'll just blinkered say we'll make it into something. We have to have evidence along the way. Demand is one aspect. The demand isn't there today. Cost is another aspect. We haven't got that information. So that's where I am today. Let's get those.
But I'm not saying spend under £200,000. I'm just saying see what the planning officer says.
Yes, agree.
And then hopefully with being on the view, people will also see this and have an interest. We're a base camp. And at the end of the day, if we have to sell it, we have to sell it.
Let's go to camp one. Let's not try and get to the top of the mountain today. We can't do that.
One of the other things I would just kind of point out that in terms of the layout, we remember that the architect prepared 3 different options, and the survey asked for the preferred option. All sorts of music basically want it left as it is, maybe one of the rooms divided, because there's 5 or 6 rooms there at the moment. Gaze and Salts said their preferred option was option 3. The Buddhist Hamper organisation didn't specify, Sandwich Chess Club wanted option 1, and the tree wardens wanted option 3. So there were 3 different option layouts were preferred.
Yeah.
You know, it's not just that and take it. So we would need to somehow get to deciding which option, because all of the options have different costs.
And that's a really good point, Peter. What you're drawing out, I think, in terms of this discussion, if we are going to take something to STC, what's missing for me is a matrix. So one of the key points you've made already is all sorts of music, complete control.
Yeah.
Another line is about compatibility against the options. So actually there isn't a compatibility against the options. So there's a matrix, I think, there. Another column is, will that result in facilities already being used being relinquished? Because surely this isn't about moving the deck chairs around, get people walking away from good sites that are community hubs already and walking into another one. I personally don't see that as the outcome.
Well, that's exactly what I was thinking about in terms of summarising these comments, to put it in a matrix. And the other thing, I think that's important, and you know, for Margaret to help with, is what would Georgina have wanted? Because you know, we all know that she was passionate about music, so filling the house with music, as we said in The Sound of Music, type of thing, you know, what a wonderful thing. But under these, it's not the right organisation.
She wouldn't have been happy about that, because she wants it, you know, she's passionate about the whole town and people doing.
And I don't think we should have worry about other premises, you know, taking clubs back, because a lot of these other places are a lot larger. These are very small rooms, aren't they? They're not going to compete with the Guildhall, they're not going to compete with or why don't they compete with the Jubilee Centre, because these are going to be just a lot smaller rooms, aren't they?
Yeah.
But
potentially,
but then again,
you know, there are other facilities.
we want to create a big space, we have to say. But I don't think we have to worry about other organisations, really.
Well, if it's impacting the Guildhall, you know, as I say, the chess club occasionally.
Well, it's only the big tournaments they come out.
They do have the big tournaments.
So it'd only be the big, so we wouldn't impact the tournaments, because that would be big enough a tournament.
Okay.
Yeah, so we wouldn't impact the Guildhall.
Okay. Well, I'll draft something up, and I'll circulate it, and hope. I don't know whether we're going to be able to get things onto the November agenda. I don't think we've got enough.
Too soon, I think, isn't it?
I'll draft something up, circulate it around.
Peter, at the moment there's a slight sort of confusion about the demands, so it's about making it clear. So what does the weekly view look like? Because one of those is just 1 week in the year. So it's just about, if you added that all up and say, okay, the weekly demand is 50%, well, I don't think it is.
No, it's not, because
It will be
the maximum it is 36% plus.
Exactly.
Okay.
But thanks, Peter. I think you took on a difficult task.
Yeah. Getting people to respond is
Okay.
I think we've already done some work been taking place. There was another boilers.
Yes, the boilers for the service.
I did have a look at the report by the architect for things that she said, and one of the things was the gutters needed cleaning. I actually cleaned the gutters, but she said the gullies and manholes should be checked, so I haven't done that. The other thing that she said is that the electric should be tested and certified, just to make sure that they're safe for people going in.
We'd have to have an electrical certificate anyway.
We would need an electrical, well, we would certainly be modifying the building, but as it is
I
at the
think
moment,
it should be done now.
we should
Margaret,
just
not
get
making
it.
different people go in.
Yeah.
I don't know if we have an electrician, a term contractor, Karen.
No, we just use people as and when we need them. So
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah, we were talking about one time about,
Yeah, it was a lot.
no, it's not about getting the internet connected, wasn't we? And then having like a door, like an alarm system.
Because the anxiety about people squatting, etc.
Um,
And you need to have some sort of.
Unfortunately, I'm in and out there every day,
Mm,
several times, so,
Right.
you know, people see me coming and
Yeah.
going.
yeah.
I was going in and putting lights on
Yeah.
at one stage because it, especially this time of the year, because it's in the, so I don't know if the electricity is still on, but I could start doing that, you know, just put a bedroom light on for a couple
Well,
of
you don't
days.
even need to do that in the sense that we can do a small expenditure on a timed.
A timer, yeah, absolutely, because I do think that people going past and seeing
Yeah.
it completely dark
Yeah.
Yeah.
is, you know.
We have discussed that in the office, so we can get the caretaker to go over there after we've had the electrical check.
Put in a time or something,
Yeah.
yeah.
Myself and Peter at the weekend with my wife, we tidied up all the front of the roads, we got all the weeds out and cut that
Did a
back.
brilliant job.
I was surprised how well it went. It was Peter's determination.
Oh, absolutely.
Let's note that bit. I think we should cover it on the sharing account, isn't it? Capital fund.
Yes, we've come,
We've covered
number
that
7, haven't we?
Yeah.
So it's a timeline that Peter's got.
Do you think we've got this power? So,
So I think the last item was just to review this, is that right, Karen?
Yes. Yeah.
Because it's just, as Emmett was saying, taking a kind of a helicopter view, and this is the plan that we set ourselves out for the working group. So kind of, we said we'd have various approvals, and we've had various approvals from Sandwich Town Council, and then the big practicality decisions, because Georgina's will says if it's practical, it's the sole discretion of the council. So there were these kind of an initial one, a full one, and then kind of having annual ones kind of going forward. So the working group, the first thing was to set up the charity, and I think we've talked about that. I think we've agreed the trustees. We've obviously got new activities in terms of appointing consultants, the architect and the accountant. So we've got a tick against the trustees, but we haven't got to the stage of registering the charity. So I don't know if you want me to change this.
So I was going to suggest, Peter, just in terms of being, this is the right tool, it needs to be visual more. So for example, where we have completed, I think we should colour code it. So green, done.
Yeah.
Yeah? Because if not, every time we review it, we'll start going through.
Yeah, I can put the tick or something.
Yeah, or a tick or whatever,
the
yeah,
activity,
yeah.
or a RAG report, a red, amber, green to say this is running behind sequence. So I can update that for when it goes to the council.
Yeah.
Then there's the executor, the estate administration status. We said we would try and find out a bit more about that and report to the council. The financial overseeing the investments, I think we've made progress on that. Managing the costs and monthly reports, I think we've received updates from Karen on the cash that we've got and the expenditure and so forth. And then in terms of Bay Hall itself, we've drafted the survey, we've issued it. The organisations have confirmed the need, and then number 4, analyse the results and report. That is the stage that we're at today. And then the next step then would be, because it goes to the practicality decision, to decide what schemes, if schemes or what work, and start to scope out the work if the council is saying to move forward with it. Okay? And then At the bottom, it's the general property maintenance and the condition survey, and obviously the condition survey is fed into the general property maintenance, and we'll continue to do the maintenance, but that's all I'm looking at. So I can update this chart. So that was our working group plan, yeah.
Ideally, ideally, we put timescales to that, Peter.
We didn't put any time scales
No,
on
and
that.
ideally we should, I think, moving forward, because I just personally feel that we should put some drive around this.
All right.
Is
Okay,
it-
everybody happy that I do that?
What's happening is, some residents quite rightly are saying, what's going on? So that's our work plan.
Yeah.
We should be able to say, right, okay, so we've done an assessment, these are the timescales, that manages people's expectations. If we go red on any of those lines, we should be able to report why we've gone red. All the things you've said.
Yeah. Okay.
We'll be busy.
Don't take that long.
No, easy.
I've done this before.
Yeah.
This
He's
is
the right
taking me
man for
back
the
to
job.
work.
Right man for the job.
Can we indicate what we're expecting to see on the November agenda and maybe the next working group agenda?
Well, we've obviously got this report, and I think I need to put some comments in this report, whether we want to send this report to November, do we?
We can just say the report. Well, if you keep more you'd have to do the full report, would you? Just so it's gone past the deadline. I think we've done it. We've done the.
I do think we need to update them on something in November.
I think it's.
They can note the report, can't they?
Yeah, I think it's to
It's
note,
to
you're right,
the report.
and also trail what we want to do for January. That puts pressure on us, rightly. Because there are a couple of things here that we know we should be able to, like the solicitors, accountants, etc., be able to come to January about, and we should be putting a stake in the ground.
Yeah, I think to note, otherwise our council meetings are taking too long as they are.
Agreed.
Right. And so we want this report, you want something about the
November meeting.
at the November meeting, you want something about the solicitor to get approval for the solicitor, and the other things about the governing document and the full report and everything can go in January. And in the meantime, if there are any other organisations, you know, when the shutters aren't completely down, if any other organisations want to respond, you know, we can try and incorporate that. But the quicker they respond, the better.
So we need to discuss an objects clause in order to. We need to discuss an objects clause, don't we? In order to.
Yes, well, we'll do that for January.
We'll do that for January, we can't
Right.
do that
So
for next
we
week.
appoint a solicitor and then
It's just-
discuss the objects clause.
Sorry, I think what we want to do for November is get approval on the solicitor
Yeah.
and for them to note the responses so far
Yeah.
to the organisations, and to tell them that in January we'll be coming with more information about the charity
Yeah.
and hopefully a full update on the demand.
Well, hopefully we can produce a draft constitution in January.
Yeah, and hopefully by January we'll have feedback from the planning officer.
Yeah.
Okay, so date of next meeting.
Yeah,
Should we
Should we?
choose a date?
It's December time, isn't it?
So when's the next STC meeting, and we need to work back from that.
I think we should meet in early January.
Yeah, I agree. We need a couple of weeks minimum before the STC.
Do you want to meet in December then?
No, early January is
I think early January.
Very January, so yeah.
So what do we look, so the first, 5th of January is the first Friday, if we give it to Fridays.
It means that they generally have to go out the previous Friday.
Yeah.
12th, it then gives
12th of January.
2
January
weeks.
when?
12th of January.
12th, I think that's the time.
I think we'll have to reach more in this.
10:30 a.m. as usual.
Yeah.
So,
Brilliant stuff.
thank you.